Hey everybody, welcome to Higher Learning Tech Prep's online office hours. Coming to you from a coffee shop here in Boulder because I'm in between students. Let's jump right in. This is supposed to be about hard math, and that may be somewhat of a misnomer because it's not actually that hard, but we're going to look at the hardest questions from a math test here. So here's two questions from the end of a recent SAT. This first one asks you to find the solution to the system of equations. And the best way to do that is to deal with each of these equations separately. The first one is kind of simple. It's already given you in the y equals mx plus b format, the slope-intercept format. So you already know that, okay, intercept is 2, and it's a positive slope. So we're talking about this line. That's the line we're talking about. And y is bigger than that line. So just think above that line. So this works out because it's above the line for a little bit. This one does not work out because it's below this line and not above it, because y is greater than that line. Okay, so this one is above that line in a different spot than B, but that still works. And for D, it's below this line. It's down here below the line. Okay, so now just to be safe for this next line, I'm going to put it into the same format. So first 3y, leave the sign the same, negative 2x plus 6. Then I'm going to divide. In fact, this work is unnecessary at this point. I know what line we're talking about. It's the other line, and I know that my sign stays like this. The only way the sign would change is if I was dividing by a negative, which I didn't do. So below, y should be lower than the negative slope line. So this one seems to work for that part, but it was already wrong for the other one. Here's the negative slope line below. B should be good. Check your other answers to make sure you're not thinking about this wrong. This shows it to be above the line, not below it, where it should be. Here's the line again. So that's out. And same thing here. Here's the negative slope line. We want to be below it for this equation. That doesn't work. We're above it. Okay. So that was a fairly easy question, even though it's considered hard, right? It's just easy to mess up. That's all. So just take it in pieces. Okay, number 15. This is a question that a lot of people will get wrong. If people do it in the old-fashioned way, trying to find the solutions, what you would do is, of course, square both sides. That means you just get x plus 2. I don't know why I put parentheses around it, but we're going to go with it. And negative x squared becomes x squared when you square. That's the problem. That's what's going to cause some issues. So when you move everything over to one side, maybe I'll say 0 equals x squared minus x minus 2, and factor that. Of course, you're going to get two solutions. You're going to get, I guess, let's see here, negative 2, and so you're going to get solutions of 2 and negative, right? And of course, the reason we've talked about this on other office hours, the reason you shouldn't do it that way is that information is already given to you. All the possible values are already given to you in the answer. The move is to just literally put these back into the original. The fact that negative x became x squared is probably why this got all whacked out. I mean, if we put these back into the original, not into this one, but into the original. I'll do that work up here. Square root of, we'll try negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 equals negative 1. So I just put negative 1 in for x. Right? I'm careful about signs here. This is saying that the square root of this 1 equals positive 1. That's true. So I bet if we do negative 2, or I'm sorry, positive 2, this will probably not work. Square root of 2 plus 2, does that equal negative 2? Of course not. Square roots are only positive numbers. So this is wrong. 2 does not equal negative 2. People have questions oftentimes about why this isn't plus or minus. And we can talk about that. Please let us know if you're wondering about that issue. In the meantime, suffice to say, the best thing to do here is to literally just use the answer list. Right? Instead of doing all of this work just to arrive at the place where you know 2 and negative 1 are possible answers. You know, if you do it the old-fashioned way, you have to check for domain issues, right? And that means just plugging them back into the original. So might as well just do that right away. Okay, so those are the supposedly hardest math questions in the non-calculator section. Now we'll go to the supposedly hardest math questions in the calculator section. These are interesting to look at back to back. This first one asks you, what does the line of best fit predict about the increase in the minimum wage over a 70-year period? The important thing to do on a question like this is to get a sense of all the answers. If you read A and B, you'll see that they're saying quite different things. Right? They're saying different minimum wage increases. And they actually, one of them seems fairly correct based on the line of best fit. Right? I mean, if you caught some points here, maybe like you call that 10, 1, and you call this maybe maybe 30 comma 2.5, right? 10 comma 1, 30 comma 2.5. And that's just the line of best fit, right? And you can see what the slope is there. It's going to be a change of 1.5 over 20, which is the same thing as 0.15 over 2. I just divided by 10. And then that's the same thing as saying, so if we divide that by 2, I guess that would be 0.075 or something like that, right? Over 1. Okay, well, neither of those actually looks that good, but maybe this one's closer. I mean, I could try some other points. But, okay, and that's, I guess, yeah, over, there's the each year amount. Well, it was pretty close to one of these. I guess it was closer to this than it was to this, for sure. But then C and D, every 10 years, the average increase in minimum wage was this. Every 10 years, the average increase in minimum wage was this. So think about the difference here. We're not talking about what happens well, actually, I should be careful here. I guess here's the deal. I didn't have to do that math because the line already gives me a slope, right? So the question becomes, what is X and what is Y? Let's see, what is X? I mean, X definitely seems to be just years, right? And Y is minimum wage. So first of all, it's not true that if I multiply this answers out because 0.49 doesn't make sense here. As far as I can tell, the slope here is 0.096, where X is years since 1940, not 10 years since 1940. Right? So for that reason, I could say per year, it's got to be A. So that's just about, I did extra work there. I made the mistake that I didn't make on 14, which is doing extra work when the graph told us what we needed. Right? And the thing I want to draw attention to is the difference in answer choices and comparing answer choices so you actually think about these concepts. Okay, so I want to look at 30, and what I want to notice is that this spot right here is not 0, 0. That's the most important thing to notice, right? So you think, a lot of times people think you can say like, okay, well, the y-intercept is right about here. And actually, all you can say is that the y-intercept is not right about there. Then the other thing to do is to say, well, let's just, I mean, we know what the slope's going to be, right? I mean, like, we know the intercept is not 402 because that's 10, 402. So let's just use that point, 10, 402. And let's see which one actually works in this equation. Right? So if x is 10, then answer choice C would say 33 times 10 plus 300 equals 402. Of course, that's not true. That's 630. This next one, 33 times 10 plus 84. 330 plus 84, pretty damn close. 330 plus 84. That's equal to what? 414? Pretty darn close. Right, so we'll go with that. That sounds reasonable. The most important thing to notice is that this point is not 0, 0, and that's a classic move, messing with your child. Right. Same thing back here. They were messing with the fact that their increments they put on the graph were 10 years, but x is still just years. Right? X is not groups of 10. So what I wanted to show is that these questions aren't nearly as difficult as they appear. So we called it hard math questions to prove a point, which is the hardest math questions on the SAT are tricky, but not that difficult in most cases. So I hope that's helpful. If you have other questions for us, please let us know. We'd be happy to answer them during office hours. This is for anyone who has questions about the SAT, not just current students. So if you're a college counselor, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you're a prospective student, if you're not a prospective student but you just want to help, please let us know. We'd be happy to help during office hours. So until next time, take care.